All right, we're here with Noisia, and thank you guys very much for letting us in here. It's a new facility. It's amazing. So we'll get right into it. It's well publicized that your main DAW is Steinberg's Cubase.
Yeah.
Still is?
Yeah.
Why Steinberg Cubase?
I guess because we found it nice to work with years ago and never felt like we needed to change it.
Some people find it inspiring to change, their environment from time to time. I find it frustrating. I mean, I haven't done it in a while. Because we DJ with Ableton, I am quite a little familiar with Ableton, but trying to produce in there is just frustrating. And I remember using Logic almost 10 years ago now. It was so similar, but then it was someone else's short keys and everything was just slightly different, and it was just like all these little barricades towards a really easy goal.
How long have you guys been professionally working together?
We had our first release. No, our first.
Or even not even the release, just started messing around.
Oh, that's 99, 98, I think. Yeah. Well, we started doing graffiti around 98. I mean, these guys were doing it for longer, but then we started doing it together.
So you had a clan or
Sort of
crew.
Yeah.
what was it?
Crew.
We had a couple.
Yeah.
Me and Nick were Ole.
Yeah.
This is a bit sarcastic.
We were actually rivals.
Yeah. He was in NEM and he was in DNE.
How big a part does processing hardware or external music devices, such as outboard gear, play into your workflow?
Well, we just did an album for a fun project of ours called The Head of the Rappers, which is Dutch hip-hop. Martijn does most of the rapping. And in that scenario, we use crappy keyboards a lot and just play stuff and put it together. But when we do Noisia stuff, most of it just happens with a keyboard and a MIDI keyboard, which is, it is an interface. But I still see it as part of the computer, not as hardware. That is more for fun and inspiration and not really for useful goal-oriented stuff. It's more about the process of it's like, playing Legos or...
I think I could get into it, but it's dangerous as well. Yeah. So
Seems like it'd be addictive.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably sit there for days.
Yeah. And it's not cheap either.
No, it's not cheap at all.
If you need toys, and you like music technology, this is like the ultimate toy, because obviously there are limitations, but they're way less limitations than other environments to make sound. Unless you get into computerized modular software, which is even more flexible. But also has some limitations, like in here you can definitely put an audio signal into a modulation signal and it'll do something. And in computers it just says, no, that's not how you're supposed to use it. Instead of it doesn't really work, but it does this. That's what this thing does, because it's all electricity.
Just patch in whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
I tried a few things and didn't do it.
So when you guys are working, do you have kind of specific areas where you guys specialize in, where you do the drums or you do this or that?
Oh, Nick definitely does the drums. Not much. He doesn't do all the drums, but he likes doing drums, and we like him to do drums. And he makes really nice drums.
Do you guys play instruments?
Nah, not
Grow up
really.
playing at all?
Yeah.
You're a rapper.
And Thijs plays a bit of guitar. Nick used to be drummer a little bit for a while. He drummed for a bit.
He had a drum kit.
As a kid, I wanted to play the drums, but I was apparently too young, and the school didn't allow me or something. So I was really pissed off. And then I rented a drum kit for 5 months years ago.
Oh.
But that's it. That's
Really?
That's absolutely everything.
I still see you as a drummer.
Yeah, I don't play drums at all.
Okay.
So,
Well, you're a drummer.
yeah. He actually was in the conservatory.
I don't think that's the same.
No, but you played shitloads of piano.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I played piano.
piano was your main instrument.
Not anymore.
Did it help out? I mean,
Yeah,
just
I guess
knowing
so.
the theory and
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
being able to play it.
I learned the conservatory, as in music school. I went to the composition and music production, arranging and music sort of whatever theory.
Did it help you guys in making stuff flow out sometimes?
Yeah,
You get
yeah.
stuff?
I think it does help you. I'm actually studying it out of fun now. I think it's very helpful.
Have you guys tried stuff like Bitwig, considering you have 3 identical studios, or do you guys have a network?
Well,
Oh yeah, we have the same
Yeah.
systems.
we've made sure that we all run about the same plugins, so I can just go on network to mix disk and open the project in Cubase here, and it'll open and play, and then I can save it to my disk, which is pretty cool. But I wanted to try Bitwig though, because the modulation and anything goes everywhere. That's putting LFO on plugins. It's like so obvious. Why has no one done it?
And it's real time collaboration, right?
Yeah, online.
So you have 3 identical rooms here.
Yeah.
Identical setups.
Nah, well, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
basic
we-
setup. Yeah.
All the drives are formatted the same way, so it's all really easy. Like if one of them fails, we can just copy it from the other ones.
And
We have an online or a local network backup system that copies files every now and then.
Every day.
ATCs. How do you like them?
Great.
Very good. Super clean. Yeah.
Speakers are floating inside the boxes, so they're actually mounted on those cables that go inside that outer box, so they're not touching the
So they're
glass.
sealed.
Yeah.
The outer box is touching the glass.
The reflection, because the rest of the room is so dead or dampened, the reflection from the glass itself is minimal.
And when you heard one, were you just like, yeah, that's great?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's but the biggest difference is that they're not near fields, and we've always worked on near fields. So that has a few advantages and some disadvantages. But
Definitely some getting used to.
Yeah, I once set up like old speakers, Adam P22As that I used to use a lot as like really near fields. Set them up in between like on stands and plug them in and A/B'd them. And at first I was like, oh wow, that's really that Adam sound that I liked so much and stuff, really forward, mid and stuff, good to mix on. But then I actually level matched the mid with the mid from the speaker, and it just then becomes like the Atom speaker became like just a little magnifying glass of one area and a very small sound, and then those things are just a whole picture. So everything is there, but it's sometimes like things like the mid-range, to get the experience that you get from near fields, you actually have to turn them up quite a bit. And then that's something that's dangerous, because nothing vibrates, nothing tells you
Yeah,
that
it doesn't sound loud, but it's loud.
Would you find that it's more fatiguing or just basically damaging your ears?
I use a dB meter just to make sure that my levels are not stupid. But it's mostly the bass initially, that because we had a room that created a lot of harmonics, basically. When you had loud sub in a song, if you turned it up a little bit, it would start distorting. The room would make the overtones, the speakers would make the overtones, and this is a very rewarding feeling. Things start shaking, so you're like, that's cool. This will not give you any of that. So if you have a loud sub, it's just loud sub, and you turn it up, nothing vibrates until you start feeling your eardrums going like this, and you actually feel it, and then you've turned it up way too loud. And, so you have to forget all those kick things that you would normally draw for, like, that you get used to in the room. They don't exist here, so it's just the sound, and it's like they don't distort.
That's another problem we've encountered, where we play out mixes, and they sound a bit too distorted on the system that we play out on, because in here we put a little crunch on the masters to make it a little more vibey, and then it's too much on any other speakers that aren't this clean.
But we're getting there.
So yeah, we're still getting used to
It
it.
took a year and a half to
Yeah,
actually get to know the rooms in the studio.
but when I first heard them, I was amazed.
Yes.
That's what I always wanted.
How about the translation between the LCD3s and club systems? How does that work for you?
I think especially with these speakers and the LCD3s, it's like a stepped transition from sound to club. Because if you use the Audezes and you're working, for example, on transients or short sounds, everything's there, so you can completely rely on that sound. But you know that there will be reverbs in the club. Then you've got these midfields that will add a bit of room as the second stage, and the club is the stage where there's way more of that, and there's way more also distortion, of course, from the system, running it into the red or whatever. But the most useful part of that is of the Audezes in that respect is that they don't have any of that reflection, so that you really can tell the smallest distortions in like phase alignment and a transient, like the cleanness of a transient that I can't. Some of the stuff I can't tell on these speakers, and I can tell on the Audezes.
Yes.
Because even though this room is like 95% like perfect, or 90% or 85, whatever, it's still a room, and it still has resonances and reverbs, which we need. We need reverbs because otherwise we would go crazy in this room. But with these headphones, you can just get perfect sound, like with zero reverbs.
Do you do your own mastering?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
In a way, not for a specific format. So
Yeah,
if it's for CD or something, we don't.
Like big album projects, we'll get it to a mastering engineer for a second opinion, but then usually the last couple of times he said we always use the same guy, Darius, who also. That's the reason why we met this engineer, because he has a Northwood acoustic studio, and we were like, this is amazing. This one is like polished aluminum or. Yeah, so it's really, really like even more spaceship than this thing.
Yeah.
We use him for album projects because then there's like 15 to 20 tracks, and then we are all really attached to these tracks by themselves. Then he can go in like, okay, but as an album, I need this track to be a little more top end or whatever. So
we really mix from the song, like what the song, how the song sounds the best as the song itself. We're trying to bring out what. And not trying to be like, okay, well, it's a song with drums and bass, so we have to mix the drums like we always mix the drums, and the bass like we always mix the bass, and the vocals will have to sit there and have this plug-in chain, because that's what we always use for this artist. It's always like, is that the song? What is the song saying? So then you do end up with mixes that are quite different for an album, and then that's very nice to have a mastering guy to even it out.
Actually, we do mastering.
Yeah. And we gave him instrumentals and acapellas as well, so he could do separate processing of vocals, and it's always very satisfying when he says, "Okay, this thing is fine." It's like I'm not touching this.
Just wondering, how do you guys get it so loud? I'm not saying that negative anyway, but it seems you guys get your tracks so much more powerful than anybody out there.
What we do is just the same thing that like rock engineers were doing years ago. You have your equipment, you basically run it into the grid. And then you go and look at what is sounding bad and what's sounding good, and you try to bring out the good parts. And
one thing that we haven't addressed yet about the loudness and mastering thing is that it takes hours. It just takes hours and it's a bit random as well. Like it's not a lot of times it's to do with luck and forcing luck. It's like just keep trying, see what this does. Yesterday I was fucking around with this track and a kick drum, and it was someone else's mix, and I was trying to get it above. This is really stupid, but I was trying to get it above -7 dB RMS, and it wasn't the greatest mix. And then I had it there, and then it sounded shit. And then I just started pulling stuff, like the limiter, and I had this tape distortion thing in there for an extra loudness. And then at a certain point, just by randomly, pulling buttons, faders, it sounded nice at the same loudness. So it's trial and error.
Listening, trying and listening.
And of course you learn by experience, okay, this does that. But I think what's really good about Nick is that he then doesn't default to what he already knows, but he just finds a new random thing.
That's also because I often forget how I do stuff. I think that's why I always make drums from scratch, because I just don't really, and they sound different because I don't really know how I did it
I
last
think
time.
we're all a bit like that. I mean, I'm generally too lazy to save my own presets. Like when I make something and then I just can't be bothered to save it, and then next time I'll be like, oh, I wish I saved that thing. But yeah,
Then you have to make it again.
and that's it takes a lot more effort than saving it because that's just like
Yeah. I do have a preset for a Superior drummer where everything is mapped out. There's no plugins in there, but it's like a template where everything is already mapped out to channels, so I don't have to do that.
I would do that again every time.
Yeah, but I'm...
Yeah, I don't use it for that reason. I
Yeah.
literally don't use Superior Drummer. I do like it. I like it when they use it.
Plugins you can't live without.
FM8?
FM8.
That's it.
That's cool.
Nah, just one.
Yeah, this one. Right.
It's right.
For me, FM8 as well. Not really. But also, well, if I have to choose one other, it would be iZotope Trash.
Oh fuck, that was mine.
Well, we can use
Trash,
the same one.
Trash
That's
2.
fine. Yeah.
Trash 2.
And I have to mention UE Diva, which is like, if you want an analog modeling synthesizer, it's the amazing one.
You know, back in the day when you guys first came on the scene, was there something that you felt really did it for you guys, or somebody who gave you the support you needed to actually get there, or was it really just you guys pushing as hard as you
A
could?
lot of people did.
No,
Well, the first one
Well-
to really help us was Anthony Mayhem from Atlanta.
Yep.
He basically, I mean, there were some other people before, but he put a lot of energy into talking. It was kind of funny because he was from America and it was a UK scene, but he really explained like, okay, everyone in the scene is on this chat program called AOL Instant Messenger. You have to install that and get on there. And we were like, really? But then we found out, yeah, everyone was on that. This is like 2001, 2002.
I was on there.
Yeah. So, and
All
he just
DJs,
explained like where everything's at, what the process was, and he taught us
Different labels.
some production techniques that we didn't know as well, like the jet plane phaser flanger effect.
Plus, yeah, using a
Yeah.
sampler with the two detuned samples, detuning them both a bit so they start
Manual flange.
flanging.
There still isn't a plugin that does that effect like perfectly, like the way we use it. We still like in Cubase or in Contact just duplicate and detune. There isn't a plugin that does it as well as that effect. Like live. I think you did it once on a guitar solo in the Tasha Baxter program. The project
yeah.
in South Africa, and the engineer there was like, "Whoa, that's wild! You're duplicating and detuning." I love the sound. The Beatles
It sounds
were doing that as
it
well.
sounds
Yeah,
really
and
cool.
then duplicating and detuning would have to sound quite familiar to studio.
Yeah, but you can
Yeah.
direct the flange, sort of the
Yeah.
thing, because if you detune it from a certain point to a certain point, you can
Yeah,
create.
you can make it go back through zero as well
Yeah.
by pitching up and down.
and it's always the same. It's not like
It's always going to sound better than something
Yeah.
that's made real time.
Who would you like to do the game for?
We'd like to do a dark game. Well, and it has to be a little sci-fi because, like a game like The Last of Us, I think our sounds would not fit. Like, I mean, I would love to do it, but I wouldn't do like the Noisia soundtrack that we did for DMC. There's a lot of like energy and like bass sounds. In a more subtle game, I think that would be like stupid.
Yeah, but we don't have to do that.
No, but I would love to write like mellow stuff. But, you know, right now people know us for the really aggressive stuff, and they come to us if they want aggressive stuff on another level. But I would love to do like strings and everything, do everything ourselves and do like
We did a whole bunch of that kind of stuff in DMC.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Yeah,
just
those-
eerie stuff, and
yeah. That was a great like challenge and also opportunity for us to show like, hey, we don't just do like loud snare drums and big bass sounds. We can also do atmospherics and melodies.
Film scores? You just gonna get
Possibly,
Would
but
love to.
yeah. But on the other hand, we've been visiting Junkie XL in his studio, and he. Well, I mean, it's definitely. It's not that glamorous to do that.
I know. Yeah.
He's working very, very hard, and I'm not sure if we could do that.
Yeah, if we
Like
could
that.
and if we would want to, but regardless of how much like the other people have to work for it, if we would love to do it without like the stress of having to work 120 hours in a week and having to network and being like in producer spaces all the time. If you take all of that away, we would love to work on like a sci-fi movie like New Blade Runner or Alien, whatever. Like that would be amazing for us. Junkie XL said like you can make film scores when you're 70 years old. We're only 30, like we're already 30, but we're also only 30.
Yeah, and I think you also really need a profile as an artist to be asked for those things. Like the DMC soundtrack came about recently after we just put out an album. I think if we put out another album, that's the reason why games or movies would want you on board, because of that identity, the name, and the sound that you've just put down as your own thing.
Yeah.
Because if you start writing just for film or just for games, then you have to get into a completely different mindset, and it has to be much more less autonomous.
You guys do a lot of solo stuff?
A little bit.
Currently working on, I'm going to collaborate with an orchestra, which is really weird. You know, like this is weird, and then I thought, whatever, I'm going to accept this, like the collaboration, and just see what happens. I hope to learn a lot from it. But I'm writing for fucking. I just have to say a fucking woodwind ensemble. It's like 5 woodwinds. So far away from me, but I like the experience, so I took that on by myself.
I'm releasing melodic house, progressive techno, whatever singles on spinning.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, you having fun?
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, man. He was always the one that, you know,
Loves trance.
loves to see how Noisia does in the Beatport charts and everything.
So when it goes to 4/4 and the noise or something.
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but he loves like tracking, success and charts. And now he's charting himself, and Tiesto played his tune 2 times in his radio show and stuff like that.
It's really interesting.
Really
Awesome.
nice, man.
What's the name?
Zonderling.
Sunderland.
Yeah.
Your idols, each one of you, or somebody you guys really look up to, or somebody who really influenced
Wow.
your music, or pushed you along the way.
That's broad.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah. I would say Radiohead, because for the last 2 years I've really looked up to their production and music writing. It's just exactly what I like.
Right now, I don't know why. It's because we were talking about those movies, but I would say Ridley Scott for making Alien and Blade Runner, and generally being, and Prometheus, generally being, I think, a really cool dude. I've never met him or anything, but I don't know. I just get a good vibe. Prodigy's a big.
Yeah. Like,
How was that when you guys did? I mean, were you commissioned to do the remix, or did you just say, "Can we remix it," or did you do it?
They asked us
I don't
to
think
do it
we've
2
ever
times.
done that.
And asked someone if we could
No,
remix them.
we say no 95% of the time.
Yeah.
To remixes. It's not really something we.
That must have been an honor. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a classic track.
I mean,
you
already
guys,
the
you guys
first
took it
one,
to the next level.
the first one, the Omen, was already like put a lot of energy, because for us it was like our chance to prove to
The Prodigy.
Prodigy and their audience that, you know, we always looked up to the Prodigy, mostly because they were not in a genre, they were the Prodigy.
Yeah.
There was a genre called the Prodigy, and there was one artist in it. And we always looked up to that, and obviously our tunes fall more into a scene, but still, we always thought, like, we want to be that, you know, we want to be known as Noisia, the producers of Noisia, you know, as a genre. And yeah, the Omen was a chance, and then they asked us to do a classic. And Nick spent 5 weeks or something on recreating the 303.
No, 3 weeks on just 303. Yeah, because it's not a 303 in the track. It's I think it was a Prophet. No, it's not a Prophet. It's a.
Maybe the Move Project?
No, it's a like the 303 sound is a preset on a Korg synth, I think, but it's not an analog one. It has one of those little displays.
Okay.
So,
Well, imagine and this is not exaggerated, 3 weeks getting one synth line. This is not fun.
there was no samples.
Yeah, they
So,
didn't
Do
have
you
it.
guys use samples though?
Well, not a lot, but for a remix, it's quite nice to have parts of the original.
Yeah.
But there was
Literally
There was a Russian guy. No, there was a Russian guy that recreated.
That recreated
in
some of the
Ableton.
core elements because he found this original samples they used, and it's a great video. He recreates the track, and he also put those samples online, so I used those. But his recreation wasn't that accurate, and especially his recreation of the 303 sound was not good.
No, that,
So that was something that
But
was
we do want to thank that guy.
yeah.
He sourced all
What
the
was-
samples for us.
but in general,
Or to
it's
look it up
really
and try and post it with this
Yeah.
video.
Yeah.
What would I search for?
Ableton, Smack My Bitch Up, Prodigy
Yeah.
stuff. You will probably get it.
remake. Or,
Yeah.
Remake.
It's really clever how he makes some of those sounds, and obviously I use some phase canceling on the master to find some sounds and find like a more specific frequency signature of the 303 thing, so I could compare it with what I was doing. But it's an especially difficult sound because the original oscillators on that are square and triangle, I think, and the filter is obviously quite aggressive with lots of resonance, which means that it's reduced to only a few frequencies, which then are really distorted based on exactly where the cutoff is.
Yeah.
So you have to you need all these harmonics, but you can't dial them in. You have to distort them from a very specific cutoff point. And so finding the exact cutoff automation on the riff, and then finding the right distortion and going back for it. Like I tried different methods every day until
we were on tour. But
Yeah, we were
So
not
he's
there.
just stuck.
every day.
Well, yes, but that's the thing. That's persistence. I think I said before. Sometimes you have to, but I mean, this is an extreme example. 3 weeks, and this is like maybe 6 hours a day of trying to get one sound right. But that is,
But it's worth it. That song was obviously a really big song for us, and
maybe we wouldn't do it for as a song of our own, but this was like a holy song to us. This is like as holy as it gets within our music.
How was Prodigy's reaction to it?
How they looked.
They loved
Yeah.
it.
yeah, Liam said it was the best remix of the song, and there's been a lot, so that was nice to hear. Definitely.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Hard work paying off.
Yeah.
So, you have any advice for all the kids that look up to you guys as legends?
Just have fun. That's the most important thing. Like, if you don't like doing this, then you shouldn't be doing it.
And if
And
you,
it will-
don't- if you
yeah,
want to
but-
make
but-
drum and bass and you don't like spending shit tons of time on a snare, then don't.
Yeah.
And don't feel like you're an inferior producer or anything because it's all about what you enjoy doing.
Yeah, maybe your specialty
I
is
mean-
hi-hat.
So, sometimes, it's not necessarily like everything has to be fun.
No,
But you have to get a sense of reward from achieving, from going through sometimes hell to make something. It can be a bit boring.
yeah. Well, my point was that you shouldn't just start making music and then aim to become big or aim
Yeah,
to
no.
write the biggest tune ever or something. You just have to at least enjoy doing that, making that music and
Be addicted to it, really.
yeah, and
There's
then
no other thing.
and also enjoying, like, I really enjoy small successes. Like, people, like that thing with Chesto. I mean, I know a lot of people in our scene don't like Chesto, and but it does feel great that he's one of the biggest DJs that ever existed, and he played that very weird little bleepy track that I made.
That's an
Yeah,
important
it's
thing to
yeah.
note because it's not, if you say Tiesto, people think of Big Room Trance and stuff, which I don't know is true, but the song that he's talking about is a really quirky melodic.
What's the name of the
Song.
song?
Zonderling artist.
And the track was?
Bruidlip. What's this?
That expression.
Such
Is it like that painting out there?
Kind of.
It's a pouty lip.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
hard to
it's
pronounce.
hard to write down. It's like, I don't know. It's,
But yeah, that's the point. Is like, I mean, I guess you have to find reward for what you do in all kinds of ways. I mean,
and not just success.
Yeah,
That-
we've seen some people that were just so enamored with the idea of getting somewhere that when that doesn't happen, you're frustrated. When it does happen, what's your next step? Then you have to construct another goal. The goal has also got to be the doing itself. The road is the point. You can't, otherwise you'll never stay hungry, and you always have to constantly applaud yourself for having achieved something. That's a horrible way to go about it.
There's so much hype out there too.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I feel rewarded that you guys actually like the products that we make, and I can't thank you enough for the support. And I can't wait for you guys to hear the new ones.
great. Same.
Place.
So, Noisia, thank you for letting
Thank
us
you.
into your new studio, and thank you
Okay.
guys.